Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to do another hammer repairathon video, and we're going to start off with this one, a Bosch hammer. Can't tell, but this is a GSH 5 CE hammer. I'll see what's wrong with this. I don't know if this is going to be a Bosch hammer repairathon or just a mixture. There's quite a bit of stuff out there, so we'll just call it a hammer repairathon video and see what we can get through. This one, she's getting power anyway. And she's hunting a little bit. But the red light is telling us, hopefully, all we need to know. Might just be a set of brushes in this. You can run like that when the brushes start going bad. Nice wee blow down as well with the compressor, because she's a bit dusty. And it is indeed brushes. Worn out. Hopefully that's all that's wrong with it. We don't need anything else. I'll find out if it needs a service. We'll put a new set of brushes onto this and then see if it needs a service. See the pin there, look? It's just about to break out. That would have been stopped anyway if we had let it run on for any length of time more. That pin would have come out and actually stopped the motor. Right, give us a wee clean with the compressor. It's nice when you can start off with a nice simple one. Well, hopefully it'll be a simple one anyway. There's still a chance it could run and have absolutely no hammer. But I think this is just a set of brushes. A lot of people will say, why aren't I doing a full service? It's a service light to come on. Why are you just changing the brushes and not putting on a whole service pack? Simply because this is for a customer, not for me. Customer's just dropped in because it's not running. He didn't say he wanted a full service. Service light may have come on, but it doesn't always mean it needs a full strip down and service. Sometimes they just need a set of brushes. Generally, I only ever service a machine when they need a service, as in when the hammer stops working on it. With this, should get this yoke up and running again. Power on. Motor running. We'll just check the speed. Speed controller's working grand. She's a little bit of a spark out of it. That has to be expected sometimes when you put in a new set of brushes. It's only a 2020 machine. Just test the hammer on it here as well. Make sure that does work. Yeah, that's it. A very easy repair to start off with. One set of brushes gets this Bosch hammer GSH 5 up and running again. I was hoping to start with a few easy ones, but this one might not be as easy. No hammer. It's 240 volt as well actually. You don't get many 240 volts on, like 2 in a row. Alright, see what's going on. We've power anyway. I was going to say, if it sounds geary up in here, it's not going to be good news. Might just need a service if it's got no hammer. But it also sounds a little bit free, does it? Sounds a little bit free. I wonder if it's stripped out the gear. No. No, it's not actually. Sometimes they can strip out the armature gear teeth. If this crank wears, it wears through the crank and wears through the armature. Well, sometimes it does. Will it? No. You can wear out the crank and stop it hammering, but the gear and the armature might still drive the clutch to drive the rotation. The crank could be what's gone. Or it just could be hammering. No hammer. This might be a very easy one. We'll test it on the block here. Right, as we can see, that is clearly working. What model is this? GBH5/40 DCE. Never seen this before. This must be a newer model. Look at that. Quick release. We band that tell you when she's locked and when she's not. Right. Clearly it's hammering and she's running. I don't know what this is sent on for, and I don't know why he's wrote no hammer on it. And clearly it is. We thought it could be a stripped gear, but it's not that either. So we'll get on and check in here. Unless it's just dry. She is actually, she's not new anyway. It's an old feature, I just never seen it before. It's actually a 2008 machine. This ain't new anyway. She's what, 17 years old? Mustn't be used an awful lot just. I'll just back them off by hand first. Pull out the plug. It's easier on the drill and easier on the screw. Do it by hand first. And just quickly take them out with the drill. Right, see what it's like inside of here. Right, that's done nothing at all. Just get that grease away from the screw hole. Crank's perfect, gear's perfect, clutch is good. The grease isn't even all that worn. That's still fairly fresh. There's a white grease going into it. That's more of just a light grey colour now. It's not burnt up and it's not overused. I don't know what's going on here. And I don't know why it's been sent on. It's clearly working. So I'm just going to top up the grease. Unless that's the problem. It's not just a case we're needing a service. If the O-rings are worn, doesn't matter which way you start it and run it, it'll not hammer right. You'll tell straight away. That is clearly hammering. Here's me thinking the second one's going to be a complicated full strip job. It's even easier than the first. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Just take that lever back so it actually gets past this little boy here. This wee spring pops up back on this side. Makes it hard to put the cover on. Stick her into rotation mode. Not rotary, just in neutral basically. And it should slide on easy. Just get these started by hand first. Just to make sure they don't cross thread. If there's no problem with it, we don't want to create a problem by cross threading things. And then drive it on. I need to get a new bit for this thing. These 25s are starting to get a wee bit rounded over. Run her again just to make sure. It's definitely locking in. There's not a thing wrong with that. Top up the grease and that should keep it hammering, just in case it wasn't getting fully onto the piston or something. But I can't see a thing wrong with that. It's definitely hammering, it's definitely running. Unless the thing is stopping on them, it's not the lead. I was going to say unless it's a transformer, but this is 240 volts, it can't even be that. There's nothing really else in this it could be. Unless it just had it straight out of the van when she was stone cold and it just wasn't hammering and it just sent it straight on. Maybe something like that there. But that is definitely running hammering. Sometimes in the winter when they're very cold and you start them up, they're not getting full compression. But if you run them for a couple of seconds, the hammer then comes on. But it's not even full winter here yet. It's only just getting into the autumn. Can't see that being the problem. Don't have a number for this boy, so I can't even ring him to see definitely why he left it on. Gonna have to leave it like that and wait for him to come back in for it. And if he has any ideas and then or any more info he can tell me about it, we'll ask him then. But for now, I can't see anything wrong with this thing. Now, next up we have an 11E. And this one looks to be a bit old. 2007, actually not that far off from the last one. Where do we see what's she doing? Nothing. Bottom nut's a wee bit damaged. Get on. Bit of persuading. Persuade it back out again. Shake, well, might be bearings and brushes. That looks like the original bearing there. There's 2 screws missing actually. Yeah, looks like it might be a simple one. And we'll just change that bearing while we're at it, because that ain't good. Just a set of brushes again. These ones have popped. Hopefully the rest of the hammer's okay. We'll soon find out when we get her up and running, but these 11s, I would say it should be fine. It's not unusual for these to run for a few sets of brushes before they need a full service. Pull out this brush holder. Get a little stiff. Pull it up. Just so we can get the armature out. We need the armature out to change the bearing. We also just want to take these out completely to clean the little slots, because generally they'll get packed out wee bits of grit. Let's just check that needle bearing as well. Doesn't look too bad. She's using that, but it still looks intact. no shoulder on it, so it should be alright. Right, I'll do as little to this as possible. I don't want to blow any air. I will not blow out on here, obviously, because the dust is just going to blow into the gearbox or this armature out, so we'll leave this alone for now. Clean this down, change this bearing, put a new set of brushes onto it. Hopefully that's all it needs. I don't want to be doing too much because I'm not sure who owns this, and I don't have a number to ring this boy either, so I don't want to give it back to him with a big massive bill, having it all completely rebuilt and reserviced, and you don't even know if the man wants it or not. So we'll get it running for now first, and then see what she's hammering like up on here, and see what she sounds like when she's running. But I'd say with that bearing change and the new brushes, maybe a little bit of grease onto it, this should run fine. One new bearing. Stick this O-ring back on again. Doesn't do much, but may as well have it in there. And we'll stick this back in. So just put a wee bit of grease on. Could be a bit of a waste because if it needs a service, it's all going to be washed out again. But we'll stick some in just in case. It's all hammering fine. Grease will just help it keep it good. See little bits of grit there, look. That'll stop the brush going down. Just make sure they're clear. Don't need all of them, but we need one set. Just a pack of 10. You'd imagine we go through quite a few sets of 11E brushes. If you don't have them, you can also use the brushes for the 9-inch Bosch grinders. The exact same size, just a heavier lead on it. But we've plenty of both here, so we'll just use the right ones. I know this here is all loose, but it's actually the bottom plate, the bottom cover that holds all this down. So don't worry about that. Decided to start using a cookie because it's a little bit quieter for the videos. Without brushless motors, and some of these can be a little bit too strong for this particular work. So I'll just turn the speed down a wee bit. We don't need it stripping out screws. Bosch one's still working, but it's just getting old and it's getting very noisy in the videos, so using it less and less. Plus these here brushless ones, the impact drivers, if you need to do something a little bit heavier, not just in screws, if you had to take off a bolt or something, you can use them as a bit of an impact wrench, so the stronger motor comes in a little bit handier for that. Now I'm just going to take this out now and give it a quick blow down with the compressor now that the armature's back in. Plug the hole. cleaning it's not actually going to do anything. It's only just tidying it up for the customer, that's all. It's not going to change anything on the way it actually runs. I do need 2 new screws for this as well. All types of screws. Look, I've got the Posi 2s or Posi 3s that I need for this one. There's the older flathead ones, and then the new torque ones. All types, going back God knows how many years. These are all just 11E parts. Now I'd like to also change this yellow Arctic cable, but if it ain't broke, I can't really go about changing it for no reason. If it works, it works. Oh, wrong way around. This little cutout, this little notch, it's going onto here. You have to line up. That's what stops that bearing just spinning, or the holder for the bearing just spinning around. Just like the 7 we did the other day, we never run the machine without that bottom cover. You never run the 11 without this bottom nut. And you see it's tight there, but if you keep going, keep screwing. That's because it's actually pulling the armature down. The 7 bottom cover pushes the armature up, clear the air deflector here. This one actually pulls the whole thing down. Now, see if it works. Is that all she needs? That's the question. Now you can't tell by looking at it, but that's sparking. You can tell just by the sound. You can hear a wee spluttering sound coming from it. It's running smooth otherwise. I don't think it needs a service or anything, but there's definitely a splutter coming from it. Yeah. Right. There's not much point doing anything else with it anyway. The armature's starting to fail. There's damage in that. You can tell straight away for all the time I ran that. The brushes can get a little bit warm, especially if they're arcing. But if it's just arcing because of the brushes, that'll be alright, that heat will dissipate. But this won't be hot. If it's arcing because of a problem with the motor's overheating, it'll heat up very quick and it'll heat up the whole shaft of the motor, even up to here. If I put my thumb there, I can feel that's hot already. So that is sadly on the way out. Sparking can die down a little bit as she's running and the brush is bed on a little bit more. It mightn't spark as heavily, but the motor is on its way out. Nothing I do is going to change or fix the motor. So in other words, that ain't going to last too long. In other words, do as little as possible. So in other words, we'll leave that the way it is. The bearing and a set of brushes to get it running, and that's it. Any more money we spend on that is just going to be dead money. This could last a week, it could last a year, you don't know. But it's definitely not running right. Depends how much he's using it basically. If he's only using it for every once in a while, wee small jobs, which I imagine it is, because it's fairly old and it doesn't look to have done a massive amount. The armature's not all that badly worn in. I would say he's just running it every now and again. It might just do him for all he's using it for, but can't guarantee. If he's using it for 8 hours straight, that's not going to last too long. Right, that's as much as I'm going to do with that. Leave it running for the customer so we can keep using it. That was probably running for him before it stopped. That pin just popped. And that would have just stopped dead whenever that popped out for no reason at all. So the customer knows it was working just by working with it. It seems like a simple fix to him. May as well get it working for him. If you hand it back to him and just say it's not worth fixing, it doesn't look good in yourself, because he knows it's more than likely just a set of brushes. Most people are going to be willing to put on a set of brushes to get it up and running again, and a bearing, it's not a big deal. But to do a full service on it, you're just throwing away money. And to replace the armature, you'd easily into another 200 or 300 euro, so it's not going to be worth that. Set of brushes and a bearing, and I'll be happy you can keep using it the way it is. It's far better doing a little bit than doing absolutely nothing. So that's that one. Right, we may as well stick with the Bosch machines now that they're at them. There's another 11E. Part missing there, look. The acrylic lens for the LED light for the service. That's been knocked out. Let's see what this one's doing. That's doing absolutely nothing. Red service light coming on, but this isn't working at all. The motor's running, but this is turning nothing up here. So we're actually got to repair this time. This is going to need to be stripped down. I would say it's going to be a broken con rod maybe. Either that or stripped out gears. That one must have been replaced. It's an Allen key. No, leave that for now. We're just going this way. Pull off this cover so we can open up this side. A 2016 machine. It's nearly 10 years old. Keep it as clean as possible now. Now, not much compression in this because you can hear the actual hammer just drop down on side. Doesn't seem like it's done any heavy work though, no grease leaking up here. Now, let's see what's going on. Yeah, this one's actually a catastrophic failure. Destroyed the armature. It's actually stripped gears out of the crank up in here. Look. We'll see how much damage is done on the armature. The gear can be replaced fairly cheap. The armature, not so much so. Come out with you. You want to just hold me back. Yeah, you're not going to get much more damage than that, apart from it just being completely burnt out. The actual sleeve is moved completely up. Don't know how it's managed to do that with the gear stripped out, unless it's vibrations or something. That's completely destroyed. That shifted up and the teeth are basically non-existent. It stripped them all out and rounded them all over. So that's just catastrophic damage. We can't repair that. You can stick in a new gear, but it's not going to mesh against this here, right? It's just going to sound terrible for about 5 minutes and then destroy the gears again. So that ain't going to be worth fixing. The gear, you can buy the actual crank. You can buy for about €30. That's not expensive. But this here armature from Bosch. Bosch have a list price on that thing for about €280. And after you put that on, you're going to have to put a service kit on as well, plus this here gear. You're going to be well onto about €400, if not more, to fix that, which just ain't worth it. So this I'm going to have to leave. There's just too much damage here. Now, if it had have been a 240 volt machine, what I have done before in the past, the very odd time, is go on AliExpress and actually just buy a copy armature from AliExpress for dirt cheap and just stick one of them on instead. They actually are not too bad a motor, to be honest, as long as you don't buy the very cheapest one there is. But you can pick them up. I can't remember now exactly, but I think you can get them for about €40 or €50 on AliExpress and that. Actually, it wasn't even AliExpress. I done one where I built an 11E here from all the scraps in the workshop and out to the container and lifted a big bunch of random 11E parts and actually made a hammer out of all the bits and put on a copy armature. But that one was actually from Amazon. And I'll stick a link in the video on the description down below to that video if you want to watch it. If I remember to, that is. But that was off of Amazon, not AliExpress. You get these armatures copy. They're not expensive. But they're always 240 volt, not 110. They don't really do them on a 110 version. If they did, I would be buying away at them, to be honest. But this, from genuine parts from Bosch, is just not going to be worth it. So I'm going to have to leave this well and truly alone. I'd love to know how you actually managed to do that, what happened. I wonder if it was just the gear that failed more than anything else and caused all the damage. Some people, when they're running tools, no matter what sound it starts to make, they just keep on running it on anyway until it completely eats itself. There's not much point in doing it like that because sometimes they can be fixed for cheap, but if you let them get too bad, they're not worth fixing. If it was that gear and it was just a tooth that broke on it, if you stopped it straight away after you heard it going bang or starting to get rough, you might have been able to save the armature. And it might have only cost them as much as a little wash and that dear €30 gear to get it fixed. But now, she's just not worth fixing. Someone else has been at this before. Just had the lead changed. They've put the cable clamp on completely wrong. They haven't even hooked it in, and they've got it back to front. But that doesn't matter now. So that's the first one. Not worth fixing. We had one, nothing wrong with it. And now this one ain't worth it. That there's actually broken as well. Right, we'll just stick a note with this one to say it's not worth fixing. Now, last up is another Bosch hammer. This is another GSH 11E. Customer says for this one, something to do with the hammer section. That's just a screw loose inside. Let's see what she's doing. Right, that's definitely not the hammer section. That's a speed controller problem. Looks like somebody's either knocked it or, by the looks of it, wedged a screwdriver onto it or something. That's where she should be running to. From 0, should be going up to 6. This is going down from 4 to 1 to nothing and back around to 6. So this has been bent around too far. But it does still have full speed, so we'll just test out the hammer on it. Cold start feature. Yeah, you can see how that would be annoying. Every time you switch on the machine, you have to fiddle the speed control to get it to run full speed. She's also dropping down in speed as well, the longer she's running. So you keep having to fiddle with this to actually keep it running. So yeah, problem here. More than likely this will just be a new speed controller that's needed. But the hammer is still working fine. There's also something else going on up inside of here. There's something rattling in there too. We'll check this first. I'm not even sure if I definitely have one of these in stock. I might not, but I might have a second-hand one maybe. I know there's an 11 we didn't fix, but it doesn't belong to this man, so we can't use that. It has to go back to the right customer. Yeah, you can see it's all bent and crooked. Look. So it should be something like that. Right, it's just been turned too far. This is just a button. The actual speed controller is this. It's a sealed unit. You can clean it out if you want. Sometimes it works, but generally I find it doesn't last for too long. The best course of action is to just replace it. Just make sure you're putting in the right number, 1617 233 057 for the 110 volt version. See if I have one of these first and then see what she runs like with that. Right, don't have the right one, but I do have a wrong one. Different number. Right one's ending in 057, this is ending in 027. This is a different number but the same controller. This one's actually off the older Bosch 5 machine, the square boxy one, not the rounded one you get today. Exact same part, does the exact same thing, just has a different part number. Main thing you need to check is just to make sure it's the right voltage. So this is 100 to 125 volt. Fine for this. So maybe the wrong part, but it'll do the same job. Pop that off, stick this one on. The leads don't matter because this is just a hammer only, there's no rotation. It's not like if you wire it wrong, it's going to spin the wrong direction. Doesn't matter if it did. Pop on the wires, drop in your speed controller. Down here first is the wee speed pickup. There's magnets built into the fan down in here. That's what's controlling the speed, or registering the speed to know how fast it's going. That drops in there first. And you can slide everything else in behind us here. Lever. Your wires click into the body and behind. Your slide switch is activating this. That wee roller and this slide switch comes across and pushes this down. And that's what's actually engaging your switch here. So the wee roller comes over here, pushes, and just forces this here down to engage the switch. Now, before we go any further, we'll just test it, make sure it does work, because it's second hand, there's no guarantee that it works. Oh, well, it's not going to work unless I actually plug it in. You have to actually connect the motor to it first, otherwise it ain't exactly driving much. Now, try again. Get rid of that one and we'll keep this one. And we also have a second hand switch now to keep. So that'll get the motor running the right speed and the way we want it to run. Now we need to find out where that banging was up at the top. Now, check this side. Just going to open up this here, take out these bolts, pull off this whole tool holder end and see if there's anything broken or worn out up here. Crack them first so they'll come off. And just take them out then with a drill. This thing wouldn't be heavy enough to actually break these out, even in low speed. That's okay. A little bit slack, but not that bad. Still getting compression. in place. Thought maybe this was missing. But no, nothing's broke. There's no real reason for that sound. The piston's obviously working because we're getting compression and she's hammering. The striker bolt, the hammer wit, is a little bit slack, but definitely not gone. I'm hearing a rattle. I'm hearing something move. I'm assuming there's a problem, simply because he said hammer section. I'll come back out again now. That's how tight that is. But there just is nothing wrong with that. I'm going to put a bit of grease on as soon as I have it out. Heavy grease too. And just mix it with a little bit of light stuff. Just to be awkward. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all working right. Leave that as is. Main problem is just the speed control. I don't know why he said anything about the hammer section. Clearly, that's working. Them up by hand, and that should do. Right, that was just making a mess for no reason at all. But that is fine. There's a slight rattle out of it, but there's nothing actually wrong. I was just more concerned that bolt, impact bolt, maybe snapped or something, or that their bumper O-ring at the top was missing or something like that, because I have seen new ones with that big fat O-ring missing, but there's nothing wrong there. That's her. She's running, she's hammering, and she's now running full speed and staying at full speed. And the wheel is actually moving correctly. So that's her. Anyway, folks, that's it. Thanks for watching. That's another wee hammer repairathon, all finished up. Finish up on this one here. As always, folks, thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the tool repair videos. If you're liking them, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to help out the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button there too. But till next time, folks, I'll chat to you all next time.